Everybody, my name is Cooper. This is my Module 2 discussion on the rhetorical situation and your career. Thank you. Let's get started. First, we have what is the rhetorical situation? A rhetorical situation is really any situation that involves one person. It can be their writing or their narrative, but it can be one person trying to change the perspective of one or more persons. And by addressing this issue, we are able to bring change through their mind and through their actions. So it's a really important topic. The three biggest key concepts of the rhetorical situation are exigence, audience, and constraints. So let's get into those and see what those are all about. So exigence is really, it refers to the event that prompts this discourse. So more specifically, it's the moment or event that prompted the person who is speaking out to speak out against this situation or problem. For example, someone could be walking down the street and see something that they really, don't agree with or don't like, and that will be their exigence. That will be the start of this rhetorical situation. And so exigence is the first step of the cycle of the rhetorical situations. So the next thing is the audience. And so the audience is kind of simple. It's the people who are intended to listen or read your work. But it's really important to understand who your audience is, so you're able to make an argument that fits them. Something to keep in mind is if you do not have an audience for your rhetorical situation, there is no rhetorical situation. So if you don't have people who are willing to listen to you to bring change, then you don't have a situation at all. So it's really important to keep that in mind. And lastly, constraints. Constraints refer to certain limitations that are put on the author or even the rhetoric due to outside conditions. This can be related to a bunch of other things, but audience is a big one. Genre or even the situation itself can provide constraints. A really good example would be religion. Obviously, if you're talking to a bunch of religious people, you wouldn't want to say something that offends them or, comes across wrong. And so it's really important to understand the constraints as well, so you have a good rhetoric and you don't insult any members of your audience or, you have the wrong ideas come across. And so the rhetorical situations in the workplace, it's really important to understand rhetorical situations, and it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. If you understand these topics correctly, you'll be able to make really smart choices, and obviously also be able to argue these choices really well with your employees or your coworkers. And obviously a well-spoken rhetoric will really be able to inspire and change minds of your employees or coworkers way more effectively than a non-well-spoken rhetoric. And so it's important to keep that in mind. An example of my own of where I'm going to use a rhetorical strategy in the coming future is I currently live in Los Angeles, and I'm moving to Boulder in about a month. And so I need to quit my job, meaning I need to put my 2 weeks in. And this has always been a really stressful situation to me because I feel like I'm always letting a lot of people down whenever I have to leave or quit my job. But now that I know a lot about these rhetorical strategies, I can use those more, and I can, write my 2 weeks a lot better. So I know my exigence is that I'm moving away. I need to put my 2 weeks in, and I do not want to cause any stress for my boss and my other coworkers. I know my audience is mainly going to be my boss, but my managers will also probably read it and probably know what's happening. And some constraints that I have is I already told my boss that I would be there until the end of the school year, and I'm also not the only person right now that has put their 2 weeks in. But now that I know a lot about these rhetorical strategies, I can kind of use those a lot more to really write a really well-worded 2 weeks to my boss and my other coworkers. Yeah, that's the end. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of your day.